Here we are, back at Coffee and Headlines. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our morning get-together live here on Facebook, where we examine headlines from our city, from our state, and our country, where we examine your own questions and your curiosity and your comments and your feedback, all combined to have a better life as a community of English-speaking locals here in the city of Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Today is October 12th, and as always, it's a pleasure to get together with you. Today, as always, we have all kinds of fun and interesting news. We have an unexpected Spanish lesson. We have an unexpected visual story to share. So it should be a fun day. As always, we'd like to encourage new friends to let us know that they are new to the live broadcast by writing the word new in your comments. That way we can give you a special welcome. Nothing fancy, just a little welcome. And if you have anything truly important that you want to bring up during the broadcast, it helps a great deal. If you add a Q at the beginning of your comment, that way we'll be able to tell the difference between just general chit chat between you guys and things that you are expecting some specific feedback on. And that's what it is, and that's what we have. So we might as well get this show on the road, as always, with our news section, then our weather, and then we'll go on to reading all these wonderful comments that I see are starting to swing by. So let's go. We begin this morning with excellent news for our friends in Paso Ancho. Just this past Friday, we were commenting on how public transportation had not returned to Paso Ancho and all the communities in that general direction after the road connecting them with the Libramiento was severely damaged after Hurricane Nora. Now we learn that Unibus PB, the local bus company, has started reintroducing the service, much to the benefit of those living in that neck of the woods. Service has been presently restored, partially with a reduced fleet, only reaching as far as the main Paso Ancho Plaza and not any further, but at least this is a step in the right direction. As a reminder, we talked about Paso Ancho this past Friday as part of our neighborhood profiles that we've been doing on Fridays, which have been a lot of fun. And this coming Friday, the neighborhood that we will tackle will be the Zona Hotelera or Hotel Zone. I also want to let you know that sanitary region authorities have announced that we are experiencing a significant reduction in COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations in the regional hospital, where occupancy is now down to 20%. Even so, we are reminded that the pandemic is still active and we should continue to follow the preventive measures we already know. Jaime Alvarez Sayas, who oversees our sanitary region, was also quick to remind us of how there was a spike in COVID cases just after the holiday season last December. And of course, the holiday season this year is quickly returning. Puerto Vallarta Mayor Luis Michel had some rather strong words of warning for his new team, indicating that there will be absolutely no tolerance for corruption, nepotism, or any situation in which family members are trying to benefit from any government employee on any government related process or procedure. He also asked to eradicate any practice that might contribute to generate mistrust among the local population. This message was made available widely rather to all city workers through a letter that was distributed from the mayor's office. All we can do is, of course, hope that his intention will be honored, respected, and followed in the best possible way. Yesterday, we talked about Pamela, which was a tropical storm. Now, Pamela is a Category 1 hurricane, and it is expected to touch land north of Puerto Vallarta. Here we are, down here. So it's the path of the hurricane is not going to be a challenge for us, at least not as far as high tides or waves. However, we could receive a considerable amount of rain in the next few days. Let us take a quick look at the weather forecast just to see what the weather forecast has to say about all of this. Okay, so we are now enjoying a temperature of 27 degrees, feels like 30. We are enjoying 83% humidity, and our temperature in Fahrenheit is 81 degrees. Our weather forecast for today indicates rain and humidity throughout the day with a high temperature of 31, low temperature of 24. Tomorrow, Wednesday, it'll be humid and mostly cloudy through the day. That must be the hurricane, with a high temperature of 32, low temperature of 22. And on Thursday, we can expect a humid and partly cloudy day also, with a high temperature of 31, low temperature of 22. So that is our weather forecast for the next few days. And now, let me set this up because we have the opportunity to learn a little bit of Spanish. Yesterday, we reported that former City Hall Controller Fernando Peña was reported missing by his wife. He had not returned home since Friday, so his wife went to the authorities and said, "My husband is gone." Well, this morning his wife has announced that he has reappeared. He's fine, and she did not provide any further details as to where he's been or what happened to him. Whatever reason led him to go off the radar, we hope that he's fine and it was not a criminal incident. But that said, we are reminded of the last time a notorious local person was reported missing by family and coworkers. I won't mention any names, but when this person reappeared, sources indicated that he had gone away on a spiritual retreat, whereas those in the know hinted at the time that he had gone away to, I don't know, lift his spirit or have his spirit lifted from a horizontal position, if you get the drift. So we don't know what happened to the city controller, but we have a perfect phrase for you to learn for these kinds of situations. And again, we don't know if this is applicable to this gentleman, but I introduced the phrase "no estaba muerto, estaba de parranda," or andaba de parranda. No estaba muerto, estaba de parranda means he was not dead, he was out there partying. And parranda is a big bash. And again, this is not necessarily what happened to this guy, but this is a very popular phrase that I think you should know. No estaba muerto, estaba de parranda is something that you might impress your Spanish teacher with. If your Spanish teacher asks you, "So how have you been? I haven't seen you in a while." You can say, "I was not dead. I was partying. No estaba muerto. Estaba de parranda." This phrase is so common that it appears in songs. There is a song. There is a movie. It appears in soap operas. Check this out. In this telenovela, The bad guy has just told the woman, ha 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 ha, you can't do anything about me because, the guy that saw me do it is already dead. And all of a sudden, the guy that was supposed to be dead appears on the scene and he says, no estaba. Well, you might as well just see it.
No estaba muerto, andaba de parranda. ¿Qué huele?
No estaba muerto, andaba de parranda. But then at the end, he says cubole. And cubole is another precious expression that we can learn today. Cubole, and you can see it spelled at the top of this list, is a derivative of a question, which is que hay. What is there or what is happening? And the past tense of que hay is que hubo, what happened. And que hubo eventually morphed or deteriorated into cubo. And cubo or cubole are greetings that we use. Whenever we see somebody, we use cubole or cubo as a greeting. If you see a friend walking down the street, cubo, ¿cómo estás? It's like a hello. But we also use cubole when we want to convey amazement. Like if somebody says to you, oh my God, she finally asked me out on a date. And you say, instead of saying, oh wow, you can say cubole or cubo. That's something that you say. And of course, as I mentioned to you, there is a song. No estaba muerto, estaba de parranda. So there you go. That's the Spanish lesson for today. It was funny to me when I was putting it together, and now I kind of feel silly doing this. But what can I say? I'm going to show up in high heels tomorrow. How can I possibly be feeling silly after singing 3 seconds? I don't know. I also want to let you know that 100 years ago, on October 12, 1921, the Church of Guadalupe was built. Of course, it was not built in one day, and I believe this is the day in which construction began. This article was not specific, and we do not know, and we do know, rather, that the church took several years to build. But this is the big date that the Church of Guadalupe celebrates. We know from announcements made some months ago that the Church of Guadalupe was planning a series of events this year to commemorate this important anniversary. But we don't know if these events took place or will take place, and maybe they took place and we didn't hear about it, or maybe they were canceled due to the pandemic. It was probably the latter, but I did want to let you know about this. And now I want to share a little bit of a visual story, because yesterday I had to go into town. I say into town. I mean, we are in Puerto Vallarta. We live in the city, but I always call it going into town when I have to go either to El Centro or to Emiliano Zapata. And yesterday I went to Emiliano Zapata to have lunch with my dear friend Juan Pablo Hernandez, who I've known for, oh my goodness, I've known Juan Pablo for almost 20 years. He's been a friend since I arrived in Puerto Vallarta. He was my editorial assistant while I was managing editors of Puerto Vallarta, of Vallarta Lifestyles Publishing Group and the magazines. And then he's blossomed to become an amazing communications educator and actor. We know him to be one of the Princesas Desesperadas, and he is the co-founder of the Spanish local theater group, Grupo de Teatro Dionisio. Anyhow, Juan Pablo and I went out to have lunch, catch-up lunch, gossip lunch. So we exchanged a bunch of cuboles during our lunch. And we found out, well, I found out from him that apparently there is a way to cross the entire Isla Rio Cuale on foot. We know that both sides of Insurgentes Street, where the Isla goes up to the road, were destroyed. But I didn't know that you could actually get from end to end through the Cuale itself. So we decided to go exploring. So this is an impromptu walk of Isla Rio Cuale the way it is doing right now. And this might seem tedious to some of you, but some of you might be curious about what exactly is going on in the island. And more importantly, or more practically, we were curious as to which are the access points that are still up and allowing us to get from one point of the city to the other. This is the furthest suspended bridge, the one that is closest to the cultural center. So we know that this access point is fine. And of course, I was curious to see what's going on throughout the entire island. If there is no audio in this particular walk, it's because Juan Pablo and I were gossiping and we were talking about all kinds of things that maybe, just maybe, you would not necessarily want to know about. And personal stuff. So we decided to delete the audio, and I'm going to narrate as we go. You may or may not appreciate it, but the whole island is looking fairly bruised, which is, it is to be expected after all the floodings. And here we go. We started heading west, and we know that a lot of the section that we're going to see right now are sections that had already been fixed up with new plants and so forth. So now it looks as though the whole thing has not been cleaned for a while. Matthew comments, the river still looks kind of angry. Well, we're still in the middle of our rain season, so a lot of times, while it may not necessarily be raining in Puerto Vallarta, it is also quite possible that it is raining high up on the mountains, and of course all this water ends up coming down to the coast. I do remember, in fact, we did a beautiful walk of Isla Rio Cuale when all these grounds on the left and the right side of the road had already been fixed. And now clearly, the government is going to have to take some steps back and rebuild. Otherwise, it is look at all the debris that is coming up there. It is completely walkable. I don't know that they have illumination going on at night, so I don't know that I would necessarily feel comfortable walking this in the evening if the lighting is not working. I don't know if it is or if it isn't. We are now approaching Le Bistro, which has been closed, and we are approaching the place where all this area was already covered in beautiful green. And we're approaching the place where the John Huston sculpture used to be and is still there. It was just reinstalled. There it is. The John Huston sculpture is coming up on the left side. And on the right side, that black pile of something right in front of me is more of those tires, the hundreds or maybe thousands of tires that were found on the river. Some of them were collected here in the island. And again, if you go through our archives and you look for that walk that we did along these specific areas, you will notice how different this looks today. And of course, we're getting really close to the entrance on Insurgentes. So what Juan Pablo and I didn't know is that you can actually get all the way to Insurgentes and keep walking to the other side of the island. So this gives you a really up close and personal look at the damage caused at this intersection by Hurricane Nora. This is the first time that I had seen it, so it was a little bit what? Marie, you've never been to the island? I will add that to the bucket list of you cannot consider yourself a local until you've walked the island. And here we are. You come out of the island and there is the building that collapsed, and that we can see how construction has already started, and the cleanup is underway, but we can still see all the damage caused to the building, the La Surtidora building. Here's an up-close photograph just for more clarity. And then I walk to the other side, and it's the other side where most of the construction is evident here, because the city is quite eager to bring the mercado back to normality and reopen it for the vendors, which are now stationed at Parque Hidalgo. But this is where the heavy machinery is now working. They are strengthening the foundations of the market. You can see how both sides of the road suffered extensive damage. And I think I took another photograph of the other side facing Encanto. Yes, there is another photo that I took here facing the Encanto side, where we can also see the building next to Encanto. I don't know if it'll show up on the photo. Yes, you cannot quite see it, but the orange building also suffered considerable damage. And then I continued a little further with my friend Juan Pablo, because there are two more access bridges that connect the island, and we wanted to see for future reference, because when you're trying to get from one side of the city to the other, it is quite frequently something that you take advantage of. You take advantage of crossing through the island, and we were curious to see what was open and what was not. At this point, the vendors are here on this side of the island. Some of them are open, some of them are not. We don't know if they are closed because they're resting or what's going on, but we can see that there is activity going on here. And if you care to contribute to these vendors' economy, know that they are there, and just waiting for people to go and spend some pesos with them. Now, coming up on the island, as we know, there are two access suspended bridges, one on the left that had been rebuilt recently, and we were comforted to see that this one did not suffer any damage. We will see that in a second. And then there's another access bridge, suspended bridge, that goes to the right, and it connects with El Centro. That one did fall down, and we will get to see that in a second. So here we are. There is the suspended bridge that is still working fine. This is the one that is on, I think that's Aguacate Street. I'm not sure. Yes, I think that's the Aguacate Street Bridge that connects back to Emiliano Zapata, and that is fine. But this other one, the one that connects to the back of the municipal market, this one is also down. And we hope that authorities will find a way to bring it back sometime soon. And this pretty much was the impromptu walk that I did yesterday. I figured if we're going to be walking around here, we might as well share this with coffee and headlines so that you can see what goes on in our city. It's still very shocking to see, but it is comforting to know that the city is already taking steps to bring all this to normality. And now, as always, we rewind our comments just to see what you guys are up to, if there are any important cues to answer. Javier, it's great to see you. And every time I see your photo, I'm reminded that I should explore that Squid series on Netflix or whatever it's called, because I can see that it's been very, very popular. Haven't had a chance to see it. As always, it's great to see all these wonderful good mornings from Cinco de Diciembre to Emiliano Zapata to Westminster, British Columbia. It's so nice to see that you guys are connecting. Let's see what we have today. Ramona keeps counting, 11 more days. Good for you. Dean says, good morning. 6 of us coming in from Chicago. And don't worry, I won't post any more links to my music. Ha! Well, I say thank you, ha, to you. And let's see what else we have. Boom, bim, bim, boom, boom. Bim, 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 bim. Craig reports on an excellent Canadian Thanksgiving dinner at Whiskey Kitchen. As expected, that's wonderful. We happen to know that they were also going to be serving American Thanksgiving dinner, and that should be fun. And we'll be trying to find out where we can get some decent turkey, because I'm sure that Whiskey Kitchen will not be the only place. Does anyone know a furniture rental store in Puerto Vallarta? I personally do not know, Diane, but I sure hope you will find some answers to that important question here. Claude asks, what is the best app to follow Pamela? You know, I use Windy, the website windy.com. I love that website because I like the graphics. We frequently show them here on Coffee and Headlines. And I believe Logan has shared a link to that. Anna asks, does anyone know where Pamela is now? Of course we know, Anna. It is in the Pacific Ocean. You can get a more specific answer to that by going to windy.com, and you will find the hurricane right there. Let's see. Everybody's graduating from Duolingo. I have to try this application just for the fun of it. Maybe I should teach myself how to speak French. Um, let's see what else we have. Lynn, like cuvole. Cuvole, it's a great word. We love it. It is a great word. Ba-dum-pum-pim-pum-pum. Fun Spanish lesson. Now I'll have this part of the song stuck in my head all day, which is useful when it comes to learning languages. There you go. Meggy, Asim Peggy, video yourself singing and share it with us. Let's see what else we have. Claude, we send you good vibes for your knee assessment. I know that you've been struggling with your knee, and I hope that you get good news from a specialist. Gina Hendricks from Whiskey Kitchen is in the house. Hello, it's great to see you, my friend. Uh, let's see what else we have. Um, Marie. You know, I shouldn't shame you, and I will not shame you because there are a lot of things that yours truly, as a local, has not done yet. And I have added them to my bucket list. For example, I may or no, I'm sure that I didn't mention this uh, in the broadcast yesterday. But when we were driving. Some friends and I were coming back into town because obviously, in order to be able to succeed at walking in high heels, we needed to go away from the paparazzi. So we went away. And on the way back, we drove past the Mojoneras Tianguis, which was in full swing as we were driving back into town. And this is one of those local landmarks that I have never seen. So, you know, if you have never seen the island Marie, my wish for you is that you will take 20 minutes to walk it from one end to the other, and you'd be surprised at how wonderful this beautiful lung of fresh air in the middle of our city is. Let's see. And Dave says it is quite shocking to see the damage from that perspective. Yes, absolutely. I had seen it from afar on the Emiliano Zapata side, and I never anticipated until yesterday that I would be able to stand right in the middle of both bridges. But that is the case. We will continue to go over there in the next weeks and months as we would like to document the process of reconstruction. Matthew asks, are the Cuale cats still there? I wonder if people are still bringing them croquetas. The Cuale cats are still there, and people are still bringing them croquetas, and they're still eating the iguanas, which is not necessarily a good thing. Iguanas being more endangered than island gatos. But yes, they are still there. They are still there. Let's see. Let's see what else we have. Calle Constitución. Oh, thank you for the correction, Dave. You are absolutely right. That was the Calle Constitución Bridge, not the Aguacate Bridge. Um, Another correction. Thank you very much, Heather. I was not entirely sure. Um, I was not entirely sure of my statement earlier. Thank you for updating that. Do we know how the vendors are doing in a new location? Well, Sherry, I don't know specifically because I have not gone shopping, but I have walked past Parque Hidalgo, which is a large number of them were relocated, and it is busy. I mean, it is busy, and I dare say they might be busier there because it is outdoors. Some people still feeling apprehensive of being in crowded places, and needless to say, once the Kuala gets rebuilt, they're going to get back. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of the vendors ended up saying, well, we kind of like it out here. We've been very successful and we wish to stay. And that is going to open up a whole can of worms. But in the meantime, they are at Parque Hidalgo. Squid Game was interesting. Thank you very much for that, Javier. I have added it to my list of things to watch. Kathleen, in regard to these vendors, wondering why there's lots of items that are the same from booth to booth. What a loaded question. What a relevant question. And I really could not answer you, Kathleen. It is one of those things in which I don't know if the vendors don't have a vision to offer different things. I don't know. I often wonder that myself. Because if I see that the store next door is an office supply store, and I decide to open an office supply store right next door, it's like that does not make any sense. So I wonder that too. I wish I had a more specific and more important or intelligent answer, but I don't. Let's see what else we have. Did River Cafe get hurt in recent hurricane? That doesn't have a cue, but I'm happy to answer. I understand they did okay. They didn't suffer any damage, but that's just what I've heard. Let's see what else. Brad says Mojoneras Tianguis is wonderful. I understand that you have to get there mega, mega, mega early. And one of these days, I'll make it a walking Wednesday walk. I promise, because I am curious. I've been here for 20 years and I haven't seen it. Kathleen asks a question to Gina, and I know that Gina is offering American Thanksgiving as well. She mentioned that to me. Let's see. Santiago has asked the same question often. I believe this might relate to the question of the vendors. Again, it's one of those crazy Mexican things that I don't have a specific answer. Unfortunately, when you travel elsewhere, you see that in many municipal markets and such. But I always travel elsewhere and still visit the municipal markets in hope of finding some of the local stuff and not some of this almost, I hate to say, generic Mexican crafts that you find at any of these markets. So that's what we have. And of course, we are now at the end of the broadcast. I don't see any more cues, but I thank you. I thank you as always for your company and your interest in Puerto Vallarta and interest in the community and what's going on and so forth and so on. Tomorrow is hump day. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We have a walk. Tomorrow we have high heels as promised, and we have all kinds of scandal and merriment. Why not? It's going to be the middle of the week, and it'll be a lot of fun, I am sure. Between now and then, or between now and the next time that we get together, I hope you'll stay kind. I hope you'll stay curious. I hope you'll stay healthy, and you will continue to look after yourselves and your loved ones. Today, have a great day. And no, Javier, don't change your profile pic. Keep that guy because he's cute, and I'm sure you're cute too. There you go. Have a great day, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.